Let's go back to 25 terawatts, okay? That pesky 25 terawatts that's really... You guys all enjoying this? You don't have to lie to me. Is it interesting? Because if not, I can sing. And because I am. I think this is great. I love this stuff. But I'm wacky. Back to the 25 terawatts. What are we going to do? It's too much. We can't do it. So basically what we have to do is we have to move towards renewable energy and efficiency. Okay? Now, when I say efficiency, that's obviously technology, right? There are two things I want to say about this. Number one, renewable energy. There's no silver bullet. Solar panels aren't going to do it. Hydroelectric isn't going to do it. Wind isn't going to do it. There's no silver bullet. It's going to be pieces of each of these just because of economic scales and all sorts of parts of the country, and you name it. But it is achievable. Another thing that I want to tell you is a lot of people say, Dave, what are you doing? Well, people say that a lot, but about this seminar, they say, Dave, what are you doing? And the thing that I tell them, they always say, you know, technology is going to fix this. They're going to come out with the superconductive what's-a-magiggle, and everything will be great. And I always say to them, you know, let me just put it this way. If you went to the doctor and the doctor came in and said, you know, I'm sorry, but you have an inoperable tumor, but don't worry about it because science is going to figure it out. You probably wouldn't run home going, hey, everything's great. You'd freak out, right? Okay, so I'm freaking out a little bit because I can't wait for technology, and technology is going to be part of it, and it is part of it, but we all have to be the bigger part of it. We've got to learn about this stuff and move towards a societal shift in thinking. We've got to start thinking differently. We've got to start doing little things like not turning our lights on and doing big things like writing our congressman. Let's quickly go over, first of all, by the way, the DOE, Department of Energy, right now said that if everybody in America adopted all of the off-the-shelf technology as far as efficiency is concerned, we could save 80% of the money that we put into energy in this country. That's out there. They're saying the stuff that's there, not the gee-whiz-a-magiga, whatever it is, but the stuff that's there. And so it's like, okay, well, if that's there, why aren't we using that? Also, this is not hard stuff I'm going to go over. Driving a stick shift is hard. This is not hard stuff. It just takes a different way of thinking. A buddy of mine, Marty, who I gave this seminar at a house party to 6 months ago, 7 months ago, called me the other day. And Marty's, by the way, a total bachelor who, you know, just like never thought about any of this and whatever. He's very much like me like 10 years ago. He called me up the other day. He goes, you are not going to believe this. I said, what? And he said, I've cut my usage from 75 kilowatt hours a day down to 25 kilowatt hours a day. And I said, Marty, you're living in a cave. This is great. And he said, no, I'm not living in a cave. I went around and I unplugged all the things that I wasn't using. I changed all my light bulbs. He did a little bigger thing. He actually replaced an old air conditioner. He got a better washing machine. Marty's got some money, obviously. But my point is, he just went out and in a couple of months he cut it down by a third. And most of that was not big ticket items. So these are achievable things. So let's quickly talk about renewable energy just to give us an idea. When you're talking about renewable energy, there are two things you have to think about. One, is it truly renewable? The source of the energy can be replenished within 50 years. If the sun is coming down, the sun's going to come down, the sun's going to come down unless you live in Seattle, but eventually it'll come out anyway. So you got to make sure 50 years is arbitrary. We just throw 50 years out there. Andy really liked that. We just throw 50 years out there, but it's like you can grow another crop. The water's going to keep going, X, Y, and Z. But the other thing is it sustainable? That was supposed to go. Is it sustainable? Okay. Is it going to be going 7 generations from now? The source of the energy will not be destroyed by its use. If I use my solar panels, the sun doesn't get less. If I've done it correctly and I'm doing hydroelectric, it doesn't destroy the stream. X, Y, and Z. Very quickly, and you probably know most of these, solar, renewable, sustainable. It gets its stuff from the sun. Isn't Flickr great? I got this off of Flickr. I love that thing. Wind. San Francisco, you've probably all seen these. Wind turns a turbine. Generates power, very clean source. Hydroelectric, same thing, but it's under the ground. Biofuels, ethanol and biodiesel. I mentioned this earlier. I'm not going to go into this a lot, and I don't want to put like disparaging things on it. Ethanol, not a big fan of it. If you go to the website, there's a link to a Rolling Stone article of all things on ethanol that's fantastic and will open your eyes. But it's people thinking in the right direction. It's people thinking about renewable and sustainable things. Another thing is geothermal. Basically, it's very simple. Usually you do this when you buy a house, but you can actually retrofit. You have pipes going into your floors and sometimes your walls. Pretty much 6 feet down all across the world, except when you're in permafrost, you're at 56 degrees. So the stuff that's moving through there, which is sort of like coolanty kind of stuff, it's keeping your floors at 56 degrees. So when it's hot out, your floor is cool and it's helping take the heat away. When it's cold out, your floor is at 56 and you just got to pump it up a little bit. There's something called passive annual heat storage. Anybody ever heard of that? Okay, I love this. There's a guy in Michigan I know who has one of these houses. You look at his house, you really wouldn't know that there's anything different about it. You go underneath the house, he's got tunnels, or shafts, I would say, down into the ground, and he built it on a very specific piece of bedrock that has some sort of qualifications that I don't understand. And it takes the sun's light all year, and it stores it in there. And in the winter, he has fans that are powered by solar and a little computer. It pulls the heat up from the ground, and in the summer it pushes it down. He lives in Michigan, and he has no external heating and cooling in his house. It's relatively 60 degrees all year round. Come on. I mean, I don't even know what to say after that. This is another favorite of mine, especially with the school kids, but I'm pretty much a school kid. So this is a biodigester. Basically, this is actually, some friends of mine in Peru are doing this, but this is really big all over the third world, and I think it could be big here at Chico. You put a big bag in the ground, and eventually they'll build sort of a triangular thing over here with glass to get heat to go in here. And this pipe goes in here, and there's another one here you can't see, and this is filled halfway with water. You put human and animal manure in there, and it goes underneath the water, doesn't smell, because it's trapped under the water, and these things go under the water. And as it breaks down, it creates methane. Well, the methane comes up these little pipes here, and goes into your house, and when you turn on your stove, you're cooking with it, and you're heating with it, and these people in Peru now have a totally sustainable, totally renewable form of energy. I'm not going to go into why it's renewable and sustainable, but I think if you think about it, there's plenty of stuff out there.